Hi friends, welcome back to my training series. I hope you're well and hanging in there. Well, here we are, another week of recapping my training, and this week's training was a combination of lighter workouts through the week to make room for a 50-mile race that I use as a training run later in the week. So let's get into the recap. Monday is normally a rest day, but my schedule this week was a little bit different. I was assigned a 40-minute easy shakeout run, and when I left the house, I was planning to run on some trails, so I put on my Mountain Racer version 3s from Topo Athletic. But on the way, I ended up changing my route, and so I ended up running 40 minutes on a flat paved trail. I went 4 miles with 40 feet of elevation gain total. But Monday evening, my right heel and ankle were really hurting. I started to feel like my shoe choice for the hard asphalt trail was wrong. So I went to bed actually a little bit worried about what was happening with my right foot. But thankfully, Tuesday morning, I woke up and my ankle felt great. Tuesday, I was assigned a complicated run workout with a couple different sets of speed-ups. I love that workouts like this automatically sync with my watch and are sort of programmed so that while I'm running, the watch will beep and tell me what I'm supposed to do, if it's a hard section or an easy section. It makes complicated workouts like this a lot easier to run. I ended up running 5.5 miles in 63 minutes with a total of 387 feet of gain. The run went well and it felt really great. On Wednesday, I was assigned a rest day to help me get ready for the 50-miler that I did on Friday. And on Wednesday, I was noticing that my left shoulder was kind of hurting, and actually it had been hurting, especially if I was like reaching out. The outside was kind of starting to pain. So I was talking with Leah about it and started to get the idea that it might be coincident with the fact that I've been doing much more strength training these last several weeks. And so I started to think about the kettlebell halo workout that I do. And I do suspect that I have been a bit optimistic with the weight that I've been doing. So I think I've been overdoing it. So this week I didn't have any strength training. So the shoulder has had a little bit of a rest. And I think next week I will either give the shoulder more rest or I'm going to maybe attack it with a little bit lighter weight so I don't overdo that shoulder. On Thursday, I was assigned an easy 40-minute shakeout run before the 50-miler. I ran my usual easy trails and ran 3.4 miles in 42 minutes. And then when I got home, I sat in the hot tub for 40 minutes. And then Thursday afternoon, I drove east across the mountains for 3.5 hours to go to the Washington's Tri-Cities, where the next morning I was going to run the Badger Mountain 50-miler. Friday morning, the weather was perfect for running, and we were off at 7 a.m.
But I think you like the idea of doing the 100K so much that you're really lucky today.
This was primarily a training run for me, and one of my goals was to practice carrying 4 liters of water in my Zygos pack. I also hope to finish the run in less than 12 hours, primarily because I wanted to drive back home after the race, and it was a long drive, so I didn't want to finish too late. The first half of the run went pretty well, but I started to feel pretty tired after the giant McBee climb that adds almost 1,100 feet in about 0.8 of a mile.
Dang.
It's really steep. When I got to the top of that climb, I started to feel really tired. So when I got to the next aid station at mile 23, I sat and made sure I ate some calories, and on the next segment, I started to feel a whole lot better. But by mile 40, I started to feel bad again. I thought I was getting enough electrolytes in, but my legs were starting to lightly cramp. I was feeling just kind of not great. So I sat down, drank a bunch of pickle juice, ate some more food, tried to get some calories and make sure I got my electrolytes in before the last 10 miles.
All right, 10 miles to go.
But about a quarter mile after I left the aid station, I ended up vomiting everything out of my stomach.
Oh man, I just puked everything out. Well, that's unfortunate.
But on the good side, it actually made me feel better. So I continued to drink electrolytes, got my way to the last aid station, and then finally the last climb over Badger Mountain to the finish. I ended up feeling great. I ended up finishing in 11 hours and 45 minutes. It was a tough day, but a good day. Seeing lots of friends out on the trail brought me a lot of smiles. And I got to meet so many friendly runners who said hi and told me that they watched the channel. So thank you all for saying hi. It was really great to meet you out there. Congratulations to everyone who ran. It's a tough one. If you're looking for a good March Ultra, there's a lot of different distances. It's a great place to visit. The weather is often kind of terrible. We were lucky to have good weather though. So anyway, I encourage you to check out the Badger Mountain Endurance Challenge. Okay, on Saturday, I was assigned just an easy walk it out. So my legs and feet were feeling remarkably good, and I just went for a nice neighborhood walk. And then finally on Sunday, I was assigned another simple walk it out, and so I did another neighborhood walk. There was a local race happening in my neighborhood, and so I stopped by and chatted with a volunteer as I was out walking, but I was a little bit too early to actually see any runners go by. Overall, it was a great week of fitness building. I finished with 66.7 miles total with 14 hours and 13 minutes of running. So all in all, a great week. I feel really good about the 50 miler. I learned a lot about my test with the 4 liters in the pack. And so next month when I do a 50K and carry 5 liters, I'm going to be doing these a lot differently. Maybe I'll talk more about that when I talk about that future run. Okay, I got some questions from folks in the comments below, so thank you all for sending in your questions. Let's start with a gear-related question from Monty, the Ancient Runner. He asks if the Outdoor Research Sun Runner hat that I wear might be warm. He wonders if I might overheat while wearing it. I haven't experienced that in any way. In fact, I find it to be quite comfortable, and I love having the sun being kept off of my neck as well as kept off my face and head. So no, it's very cool. I love it. I recommend it, and I'm amazed how many people are wearing this hat out there. I see it everywhere. I think it's popular for a reason. I definitely don't think you'll overheat if you wear it. All right, of course, the Barkleys just happened, and so I got a question about if I follow and would I want to run in this race. I do enjoy hearing about the people who are attempting it and the trials that they have to go through. It's certainly such an achievement that people were able to finish it. And oh my God, Jasmine's finish was so exciting to see on Facebook. But I have no desire to participate in that event. It's not the kind of suffering I'm into. So I'm happy to watch movies about it and hear about other people's experiences. But I don't think you have to worry about me signing up for that one. All right, Sean asks how my training differs from past years. To be quite honest, aside from the strength training, which I have made a point to do at the beginning of this year, which coincided with me starting this training vlog series, my training is pretty much exactly the same as it's been for the last few years. My coach and I have had this very similar schedule and build as we lead up to getting into Cocodona. So the running schedule that I'm doing is pretty typical for what I've been doing the last few years. And also I've been trying to do yoga the last couple of years as well. So yeah, this is kind of typical for me. It's hard for me to know if I feel any more fit or less fit than a year ago or 2 years ago. I think that the 50 miler that I did this week did give me a lot of confidence that I'm doing pretty well, even though it was a tough day. But yeah, I think this is pretty typical for me. Speaking of Cocodona, Mike asks if there are any changes to the Cocodona course this year. The start has been moved. It's still in Black Canyon City, but it's moved a little bit to the north. And so we're going to have a few miles of brand new trails that we haven't run in Cocodona before it finally links up to the course that we did last year. Pretty much the rest of the course is the same as year 3 and last year in 2023. So there might be some last minute changes. There often are as the race comes close. By the way, if you are a Cocodona runner, make sure that you check the link in the description because I have put together a segmented map where I took the official map and broke it up into segments so that each from aid station to aid station can be downloaded as a separate GPX file, which has a lot of benefits for loading it onto your watch or onto your phone and just sort of having a good sense of when the next aid station is going to be. I like to load each segment onto my watch and then I navigate that section. And that way, when it's telling me that, I only have 2 miles to go to the finish, that just means 2 miles to the next aid station. And plus I get to use the Climb Pro feature of my Garmin, which helps me know how far to the top of the next climb and how many more feet to the next climb. In any case, if you're running Cocodona, check out that map. And as the official map gets updated, I'll be updating my segmented map as well. And finally, Alex has a crew-related question for Cocodona. Is it advisable that crew, especially a solo crew, skip aid stations in order to give them time to rest? Well, the inaugural year at Cocodona, Leah was my sole crew member. My parents were there to help out at some of the aid stations, but she did the entire course with me and went to all the crew accessible aid stations. And she reported to me that it was exhausting and probably the hardest crewing of any of the 200s we've done. Now, the Bigfoot course is notorious for being difficult to crew, but that's largely because of the remoteness of some of the later aid stations. At Cocodona, it's just an onslaught of just never-ending crewing, driving. And in fact, in the section between Fain Ranch and Jerome, the roads are really, really windy. And the road to Mingus Mountain is one of the roads that Leah liked the least. And that section she was so tired in there that she said she actually dozed off on some of the windy sections of that road in that first year. So we are definitely going to be skipping some aid stations this upcoming year. Leah might be crewing me alone. We're not quite sure yet, but we are looking to think about some of the ways that we can skip that windy road and maybe take some of that driving out so that there's less of the just onslaught of, like I said, crew, drive. Another thing that Leah does is she takes a nap while I'm taking a nap. So she'll sometimes try to get naps in between, but she generally gets about as much sleep as I do. So one way that she can make sure that she gets rest is by making sure that she does it while I'm taking my naps at aid stations. In any case, even if you have multiple crew, it can be great if they can skip an aid station. The number of aid stations at Cocodona are many, and the time between aid stations is shorter than at some of the destination trail 200s. So work it out with your crew. It might work out quite well that they don't have to go to every single crew accessible aid station, and then you can still, get the wonderful experience of seeing them at the next aid station to get your big boost. And it's always good to see your family and friends when you come into a crew aid station. So yeah, that's kind of our thoughts on that. Cocodona is tough on everybody. It's tough on runners and tough on crew. So yeah, I hope that helps. I look forward to seeing you at Cocodona, Alex. Okay, well, everybody, thank you so much for all the questions this week. If you have any questions I can answer in next week's video, please put them in the comments below. And thank you, everyone, for your comments about enjoying the series and enjoying the Q&A portion. I do enjoy sharing what I've learned, and I hope that it helps you guys in the training you're doing and all your work. Okay, I think that's it for now. Thanks a lot for watching. I hope to see you here next week. Good luck to you next week, and we'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.